All right, so here you are, retired. You look like you've enjoyed retirement, and you find out you're in the Hall of Honor. What's it mean to you?
It's pretty special. When Mr. Rooney gave me a call this summer, it wasn't even on my radar that this was a possibility, and it was hard for me to put into words how much it meant to me. But after giving it some thought, it's been really neat, and I've been able to enjoy it.
So I want you to put it into words. You have to put it into words. Put it into words for me, Heath. What is it?
I just think, when you think about the tradition and the history of the Steelers organization, and when I was here and I was playing here, I just wanted to make my teammates uphold the standard with them, and to make the guys who came before us proud, and to be mentioned with them in the same breath and to be in the same space as them, it's a huge compliment.
With the 30th choice in the 2005 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Heath Miller, tight end from Virginia.
So you get the call the Steelers are going to make you the #1 pick, their first-round pick.
Yeah.
Your thoughts of that day. Tell us about that day and what your emotions were.
Well, I try to stay even keel because everyone's telling me you really don't know what's going to happen, so don't get your heart set on one place, which I didn't. But I knew that the first team I met with at the Combine was the Steelers. And then I came in here for a visit because I was injured. I didn't work out at the Combine. I didn't work out at all for any team. So I didn't know how that would affect me going into the draft. So that was kind of the unknown. And it got to a certain point after a couple teams didn't select me. Then I'm looking down the list and I'm like, well, they have a tight end, and the next team was the Steelers. So I'm like, well, if the Steelers don't take me, I don't know where I'm going to go after that. So yeah, everything worked out perfectly.
It did, and you, as a rookie, came into a team that was pretty ready-made. How was that? And I mean, as a young kid coming into a team with that many star players, what was it like?
Well, I knew I had to get my stuff together and not mess up.
Pressure.
Because they were 15-1 the year before, and there was just so many great players on that team, and like I said, I didn't want to let the team down. I didn't want to let those guys down because a lot of those guys were on the back end of their career, and this was their opportunity to finally win a Super Bowl. And so yeah, when I stepped in the huddle, I knew that it was a good kind of pressure that I needed to meet the standard that they expected and earn their trust and respect.
Looking back, did you ever thought you were going to be in the Super Bowl and win it right off the bat like that? I mean, everyone has that dream, but to be a young player, and when you got it, did you think, oh, this is going to be part of the regular schedule? We'll be here every year.
Well, yeah, I thought.
It's part of the schedule.
I never really thought, win the Super Bowl, you want to do that, I'm sure, but I don't know if I had specific thoughts like I would love to do that one day. But yeah, to come in here and to feel the excitement of the city and to know how close this team was, it was awesome. Growing up, sure, when I was little I won, but in high school we lost in the state championship at Virginia. We never played for an ACC championship or a national championship. So to do that and then to be in 3 Super Bowls in my first 6 years, I don't know if I took it for granted. I'm sure I did to an extent, but it also spoils you a little bit where other teams may 12-4 and you make it to the second round of the playoffs, maybe a good season, and like, no, it's not close to the feeling that you get when you win it all. So
you seem to have a tremendous relationship with Ben Roethlisberger, who's always told me when I've talked to him that you're the guy that he feels most comfortable with. When he needs to make a play, it's you that he looks to. What made that relationship so special?
Well, I think we were only a year apart, so he was drafted before me, and I was fortunate. I mean, not many guys can say that they played their whole career, for me, 11 years with one Hall of Fame quarterback. And so just through time, you develop a chemistry, and I think we've talked about this a little bit, but we always saw the game through the same way. People say, I think he's at his best when he's off script a little bit. And for me, like I said, I spent my whole life just playing sports or playing ball in some sort of fashion, so I could just be me and go to the backyard, and 95% of the time we were on the same page, and so I think maybe he could trust me in that way.
What is it like though when he starts moving around? And he did a lot, pump fakes like crazy. The ball never left his hand, faked out cameras.
Yeah.
As someone who's an intended receiver or someone running that route, what do you you just keep going? Is that just a
Yeah,
playground kind of thing?
I feel like my job was easy. I would just get open and he would find me. There are really no set rules, you know.
Yeah.
I know I used to play quarterback. Don't roll left, don't roll right, and throw left. So I'm like, okay, I got to get into his vision and get open, and he'll find me. So, you know, for me, it was pretty easy on my end.
Beyond that, you have a friendship with him that goes pretty deep. Tell us about that and why that was maybe as significant in terms of relationship on the field, the relationship off the field.
Well, I think it's probably something where we've played 11 years together. We've been through different seasons of life. We've seen each other go through different seasons of life, and so I think those experiences just are a natural bond for people. And you know, we've taken the field. We've seen each other in good times and bad times, and you know, for me on my end, I always just tried to be a consistent place for him, and you know, he was the same for me, and so it's been pretty cool.
Mike Tomlin always said you're one of his favorites. He gave you the ultimate compliment though when he said, "If my boys turn out to be like Heath Miller, that'll make me a proud father." You're a father, so you understand that. What did that mean to you when you heard him say that?
Yeah, that was pretty cool that he said that, but I was like, maybe I've hid some things from you. I did a pretty good job of hiding some things. No, because I know I make a lot of mistakes too, but as everyone does. But for him to say that, it was pretty special. And you know, I always appreciated what Coach did for me. And I saw him today, and you know, not only the way he treated me, but the way he treated my kids and my family, to give them unique experiences that they still remember when they were 5 or 6 years old, and they'll always remember. Is something I can't thank enough for. I think you know, this organization in general has so much success because of the stability that they have, and that starts from the Rooney family. And it's interesting, you know, I've been away for 5 or 6 years, ever how long it's been, and I come back and I see all the same faces, and I think that just speaks to the character that this organization is built on, and the type of people that they employ, and they trust to lead the ship.
I don't think anyone took on as much pain as you did. It seemed to me anyway, from someone who got banged up quite a bit. I remember the one in Baltimore specifically. And I know your wife probably, every time she sees something like that with Katie, was probably saying, "Oh my goodness, what's going on here?" Did you ever get to a point where you said to yourself, you know, I don't know if I'm going to continue to take this beating like this? Or were you just played right through? What was your mindset with the type of hits that you took?
You know, I just tried to, it's just part of the game, I think, you know, and especially then, you know, the game's trying to get a little safer now, which is good, and that started kind of on the back end of my career. But you know, when you play tight end and you catch balls in the middle of the field for a living, you're going to take some hits, and you know, I always tried to take a lot of pride in, no matter how hard they hit me, I wanted to get up and make sure that pretend it didn't hurt. Pretend it didn't hurt. There were a couple times though that I had no choice. But the other times I wanted to walk off the field or get back in the huddle and let them know that it didn't bother me.
You know, you guys have this high tolerance of pain. Even Roethlisberger, I mean, some of the stuff that he had to endure, you saw it firsthand.
Oh, for sure.
Was there a tougher quarterback in your mind than Ben?
You know, he's definitely tough. I was joking with him the other day. He asked me to tell a story about him, and so the first thing that came to mind is we're in Baltimore in the huddle, and I think Haloti Ngata had sacked him earlier in the game, or maybe in the play before, and we had a timeout. He was on the sideline, maybe he's getting checked out, talking to the coaches, and we're all in the huddle, and he comes back into the huddle, and I'm standing like this across from him in the huddle, and usually it's loud in Baltimore, so I'm locked in on his face, see his mouth moving, so I'm focused, I can hear the play. And I see his nose, and it's like going like this. And I was just like, my reaction was like, oh, and I don't even think I remembered half the play. I had to ask someone else, what was the play again? But I don't know if he knew that his nose was that messed up. And actually, he said that he didn't until he looked in the mirror at halftime. But, you know, that just speaks. I'm pretty sure I know he continued that game, and I think we ended up winning that game. But that's just a little snippet that explains how tough he was.
I mean, that's how you certainly get the adulation of the fans when you play like that, and that's how you played too. So
yeah.
There's something else I was thinking about, because I heard this the other day from Santonio Holmes, who was talking about that play in the Super Bowl against Arizona, the throw by Ben to him, and he had said that that's something that you guys practiced like every single day leading up to that? Tell us about that play, and also your role in it, because he said after he dropped it at the one side, he was looking for something, and you were one of the first to come up to him and say, "Hey, don't worry about it. You're going to get it again."
Well, as in every game plan package, you have certain plays that you practice every week, and maybe you never get to them. And I think that was probably one of those plays where we had it in the game plan in the red zone for a few weeks. So that's probably what Santonio was talking about. We had repped it so many times, but we never, game circumstance or situation, we never got an opportunity to call it. And yeah, it worked out perfectly. And yeah, I thought the play before, if I recall correctly, was a tough catch as well. So, you got one play to go. You got to try to get everybody's confidence up and, believe that you're going to make the next one. And they sure did.
Was that a better throw or a better catch?
I think both.
Okay, you can't take
I'm
both.
not going, no.
No, both. It has to be one or the other.
It's an amazing catch. It's one of the best plays. I would say it's got to be in the top of Super Bowl history, along with James's interception return in the same game.
Okay, which is better, that play or James's interception?
Well, I'm an offensive guy, so I got to go with that. But just the details that went into the play that James made is unbelievable, and then the effort after he made the details to make the interception, to even be in that position, and just the instincts that he had to do that, and then the effort of everyone else on the field to get him to the end zone. It's pretty incredible. I think that play probably epitomizes the type of team that we were as a whole and the type of defense that they were, but really the team as a whole and the effort that guys were given to make sure that James got to the end zone. It's pretty special.
When you saw it unfolding, did you ever think he'd get to the end zone?
Well, you're like, yes, yes, yes. And you're like, oh, yeah. And every 20 yards, you're like, oh, this might happen. And even when he did score, you're holding your breath because you're like, you want to make sure he did. You don't want to get too excited, even on Santonio's catch. I was excited, but then I was like, oh, now they got to review it. Was he really in? I don't want to have this huge letdown if they reverse the call. But in both cases, they didn't. It was great.
Again, you're not allowed to answer both. So this question is, which of the Super Bowls is more special to you, the first or the second?
To me, the second, only because the first time was a whirlwind. It was my rookie year, and I think that was, we played 4 preseason games, 16 regular season games. It was like my 24th game that year. And coming from college where you play 10 or 11, I just played twice the amount in one season. And so I was just trying to get by and not let my team down, and everything was happening so fast. But the second time through, I tried to really enjoy it and take in everything with it, and so that's why I say the second one.
So I want to ask you about your community work too, because I know how involved you and your wife were here specifically with the Glimmer of Hope Foundation. As an athlete, how important do you think that is to be involved, to make sure that you can give something back to a sport that's treated you very well?
Well, I think for me, it's part of the culture that is the Steelers, and it's expected. And in my case, Alan and Julie Faneca set the standard, and they were amazing. So Katie and I just kind of carried on and filled in a role for them. But from my perspective, Alan, Julie, and Diana Napper, they did all the hard work. They're so passionate about the cause that we were supporting, and so when Alan and Julie left, he asked me personally to do it, and he's someone that I looked up to greatly when he was on the team, and someone who I tried to emulate on a daily basis. So it was a huge honor that he would even think of me to ask to do it, and obviously I didn't want to let him down and gladly accepted it. But yeah, like I said, it's just part of the culture that starts with the Rooney family, and I think that's the cool part that intertwines this team and the city so much, is how involved and how well each work together.
I'm going to leave you with one other thing. I want to get your reaction. Mike Tomlin said of you, there are high maintenance guys, there are low maintenance guys, and there are no maintenance guys, and that's you, no maintenance. In a day where football players seem to be consumed with their own Snapchats and all these social media platforms, I suspect you don't have one, correct?
No, I don't have social media, and that's kind of when I started to feel really old at the end of my career, when the social media was kind of creeping into our society, not just our locker room, but our society in general. And yeah, kind of start to feel old when you don't relate. I'm like, so I'm supposed to tweet out thoughts that I want? Why does anybody want to know what I'm thinking? I don't understand. But maybe I missed the boat on that though.
Your personality is what it is. Have you ever lost it? Have you ever, just something happened that triggered something in you on the field? I'm talking about.
Well, I think, yeah, everybody has a competitive fire that burns, or they wouldn't be able to play football. I think there's a lot of nice guys and, well-mannered guys, and most are off the field, but I think when you step on the field, you got to be competitive and you got to be tough and you got to be fierce, and because if you're not going to have a lot of success when you play.
So you didn't answer the question though, did you?
Oh, one specific time.
I need a specific time. Troy Polamalu said this. I found out that he was really a chirper. I never thought that. The mild-mannered guy who does, hair commercials, looks so, whatever. And all of a sudden, he does have that side of him. You never had a.
Well, when he started talking, then you knew, oh man, something's about to happen here.
So he did.
If Troy's upset, something's bad. Something bad happened. So you kind of maybe put your helmet on and buckle up. I don't know what we're going into, but something's wrong. I can't think of one specific issue,
No.
that maybe I lost it too much.
Okay,
So,
well that's typical you.
I don't want to dig up old dirt.
No, I don't blame you for that. Don't worry, we're not going to tweet it either.
Yeah.
Congratulations though, and one final thing to wrap it all up. Just your, the Heath Miller persona. People started chanting your name. And the Heath, I felt bad for Freiermuth when he first started. They were still saying Heath when it was Muth. The Muth is now taken over, which it should.
Yeah, right.
But
right.
what did that mean to you? From a fan base that was obviously very much appreciative of what you did.
It meant a great deal. Sometimes I don't know how to react when a bunch of adulation is piled onto me. But when you have time to step back and think about it, and I tried to give my best for the city, for my team, but for the fans as well, and to them show their appreciation in that way. It meant a great deal. My rookie year, I think, was preseason, and it was kind of started a little bit. So I caught a couple passes, and I heard this low rumble from the crowd, and I'm thinking they're booing me. I'm like, well, maybe they didn't want to take a tight end that year. Maybe they wanted somebody else. I'm like, I just caught a pass. I made a good play, but then I realized what it was, and so it was pretty special, and it meant a lot to me.
Thanks very much. Congratulations.
No problem. Thanks, Bob.